Hello and welcome to Multifamily Elevated. My name's Suzanne Hobson, and I am super excited to talk to you about vision, people, and execution, and how you can utilize this information to elevate you and your team and your experience in multifamily. Brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network, giving you the latest and greatest news and content across our multifamily sector. So let's jump in. Enjoy this episode of Multifamily Elevated and enjoy the climb. And here we are for another episode of Multifamily Elevated. Really excited about this particular chat with you, Jess Tierney from VeriFast. I know we're going to jump in and talk about, why we're here at Apartmentalize, but why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do for VeriFast?
Yeah, I'm our VP of products. I actually started with VeriFast in September of last year. I actually, previous to VeriFast, worked with Chattel Supply doing the procurement side of PropTech. Met Jean Klein, our chief of sales at OpTech in 2023. And she convinced me in 2024 to come over and ride this wild ride with VeriFast. And essentially, I came on as doing like their director of integrations and partnerships and figuring out where we could maybe improve that for the daily operators. And fast forward to January of this year, got promoted to our VP of product. And now we're building product and innovation that's going to help like really solve some of the pain points in the industry.
Yeah. So what does VeriFast do?
So we are a fraud verification company. We do anything from ID to employment to your financial health. We go through and basically detect through a holistic view of everything to determine whether you are fraudulently trying to pass a fake ID, if you have fake pay stubs, fake bank statements, pretty much anything that you could possibly buy on the internet. We do a whole cross run of every database out there to determine whether you've paid for that or if you really are employed. And we've even now configured AI to determine a lot of that. So, and this year we've opened up into the credit and background space as well. So just continuing to add as much possible tech we can. So.
Yeah, we're going to get into just the benefits, I think, for the operator especially, and the resident experience in a moment. And I think, one of the other things that is fascinating is just this holistic, suite of service that you have. But I won't give it all away. So we're here at Apartmentalize, and you have now been walking the floor, meeting people. What are operators saying about their pain points? Like, what are they talking about?
A lot of it has to come down to qualified applicants. So one of the biggest things that we hear a lot is obviously you have a ton of traffic, but then you don't have qualified applicants. And a lot of it comes down to income qualification. So one of the biggest things that, our company specializes in is the gig work. So, side hustles, anything that's from Uber to DoorDash, or if you do like hair or makeup and you use Zelle or Venmo, one of the things that we specialize in is capturing that data to give to the operators to show them, hey, they actually make additional income. And we actually report it as potential income. So they get to decide on if they're going to actually use that income or not towards them to be income qualified to move into the home. But that seems to be the biggest pain point, is just fishing through all of these bad actors, but additionally finding good applicants that can qualify. Because let's face it, we know that rent's gotten pretty high, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody's doing gig work. So we show that. We give them that data.
I love it. And, that really just plays into allowing or giving opportunities for gig workers to actually rent, because that is an issue. Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about that off camera, yes. And it's a really prevalent issue from the operator side as well. Just making sure that fraud isn't causing more problems than it already is, because it just keeps getting more complicated.
Yes.
And so you've got that. You've got one side, which is really fraud, the other side, which is really, lowering the barrier to entry to rent. And it's not, I guess, fascinating, but it is really interesting. Let's dig into this next thing, because I think this is what's going to be really cool. So tell me about some of the other products that you have, because again, we talked about the holistic, approach to this, which I think is fascinating. Tell me a little bit about how you do actually income qualify.
Yeah, so basically, we allow the management group to provide us their rental criteria. And then we take that rental criteria and essentially apply it towards their applicant's profile. So when the applicant goes through their verification process, we literally take that rental criteria to determine if they do meet that rent to income ratio, which is where we give you that holistic look on what they're spending, daily transactions, how they've done rental payments in the past, utility payments, if they've had pets. And we give you that whole overview of their entire transaction history, even to a point of an extended transaction history of up to 2 years. So we give you 2 years worth of data to really decide on if they're going to pay their rent on time. And I think that that's really helpful from an operator standpoint, because you can get 30 days of income, right? Because that's typically all that they ask for. But in those 30 days, they may have had a good month and maybe didn't spend as much money and they look great on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But we give you 2 years. So with those 2 years, you can really see overall their spending habits, their daily habits, their financial health, if you will. And I do think that that gives the applicant an edge as well, so they can really show that they're going to pay on time, that they do make the money, no matter where the money's coming from.
Right, right. And, you know, you said something just there about like almost customizing this to the operator.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because, you know, a lot of times, and I'm just going to speak for the operator, the tech is placed on top of whatever issue they're trying to solve for. This sounds like it's almost reversed. Like, yeah, tell me about that.
So essentially, we're going to give you, whether you want net income or you want gross income, or if you want both, we can give it to you both ways. We literally break out the income, even to the taxes, so that way you understand overall what they're actually bringing in that's net versus what's gross versus what's taxed. And then we break out the categories. So then you get to see overall, like, how much do they spend on food? How much do they spend in gas or leisure activities? But ultimately, if you need 2.5 times the rent or 3 times the rent, whatever that configurability is, we give you that based on whether you want the net or the gross. And if you want all of those categories broken out, we give you the whole look of that applicant. So you can make a better decision, so you get better residents and you bring down the debt.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, like delinquency is a huge issue. I can go back to my multifamily days. I took over a property that was 20% delinquent upon arrival. They were doing flex payments. People were like payment plans all over the place. Yes. People weren't paying rent. And, you know, you had to go through and clean it up, but they didn't qualify the applicants. They were so desperate for people to move in that there wasn't any of these tools available during my time for us to be able to run them through a system. You had to do your own due diligence. And let's face it, the bad actors have gotten so good. I would have been able to tell you then what was a fake pay stub. I can tell you now. But that's what I think really sets us apart, is that we give you that whole look, but we also don't want the applicant to be treated as a number.
Yeah.
You know, we want to actually help them find a home. That's the whole purpose. And so we give an educated, you know, way for the property management group, but then we give the applicant a chance for the home that they actually want, not because they have to settle for it. You know, and then they get to see where they qualify and where they need to maybe improve that financial health so they can maybe get into the better home that they want later, or maybe spend some more time making some more money to look, you know, good to be able to move into that place that they really wanted.
Well, and that's that resident experience that, you know, we were talking about. And it is critical. Right now, there is still a lot of friction in the journey, the customer journey. So tell me a little bit more about how you are affecting that resident experience.
Yeah, so, you know, we really approach this in a white glove method. We spend a lot of time making sure that we are capturing what the applicants are saying about their experience going through our platform. There is lots of friction that happens because, of course, you know, technology is what it is.
Yes.
But we are consistently improving it based on the feedback that they provide. But additionally, too, there's other things that they want people to see. So whether that's, you know, investments, IRAs, annuities, annuities, they have a trust fund. We have found so many ways to income qualify them based on what their scenario might be. And then, of course, like if something was difficult to get through or created friction, or maybe we didn't capture something right, we actually have a 24/7 customer service department that is ran by an amazing human being, Becca Stafford, VP of Operations. Literally, we white glove and take care of them to the very end. So not only are they getting a good experience from obviously the management group, but we want to make sure that we carry that all the way home so that we are, a review for us or a review for them. The whole application experience is just goes smooth and they get the home that they actually wanted. And we proved what they wanted to prove to be able to get that home.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, so I can't wait to learn more. I'm going to be out on the trade show floor as well, so I can stop by and learn more about VeriFast. But I want to thank you so much for taking this time with me and our show. And yeah, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to Multifamily Elevated, where we hope that you are inspired and ready to go, elevated to take on your next challenge in multifamily. So if you liked this episode, please subscribe, like, comment, and of course, share with your network. And don't forget that this was brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network that is also sharing the latest and greatest in trends, ideas, and content across our multifamily space. Until next time, keep elevating, and we'll talk soon.